Whether it's the showrunners, crew, cast, or even the mainstream media itself, they just want to keep opening their damn mouths and making it that much fucking easier for us to call them out on their bullshit. Hello, this is Maria Jade, and I'm back with another video, and this gem from Forbes.com claims Rings of Power has no woke agenda to it. Never mind the blatant disregard for characters developed by Tolkien and the complete bastardization of said characters to the point where they are in name only. Never mind the blatant tokenization of certain races within this series. Never mind the blatant addition of non-canonical characters, because for years the showrunners and Amazon Studios lied to the Tolkien fandom about having the rights to certain works that would have helped them flesh out the Second Age for this series. Never mind all that. Never mind the lies. Never mind the gaslighting. Never mind anything in that regard, because silly us, there's no agenda to this series. There's no agenda. We're being just hypersensitive. But at any rate, let's just dive right into this article so we can get a gauge of the absurdity Eric Kane, senior contributor, is trying to spin for Rings of Power. So without further ado, here it is. One of the more tiresome complaints I've heard online about Amazon's Rings of Power show is that it's pushing a woke agenda. I know, so tiresome that we're calling them out on this. I'm sorry, Eric. Cramming said agenda down our collective throats in an attempt to push some leftist identity politics on the masses. Yeah, never mind everything that I just listed there and more. Yeah, like, we are obviously reading too much into it. This is a silly critique, for the most part driven by idle speculation and a fandom that has been utterly overwhelmed by culture wars and endless politics. There used to be a time not so long ago when we could enjoy movies and TV shows and video games without a constant barrage of politically charged opinions, angry click-hungry YouTube videos, and massive charged debates on social media and forums. Yes, there used to be a time. Now, particularly, not exactly solely, but particularly with the release of Ghostbusters in Name Only 2016, when if you dared critique the trailer, doesn't matter who you were, but they ignored minorities and women who were complaining about the trailer, myself included. They targeted straight white men and called everyone racist or sexist for daring to say that trailer looks like shit for the female-led Ghostbusters movie. Never mind since then, basically, that, again, they pull out that playbook, dust it off, and if we at all utter any complaint at all directed to any character that's non-white, or non-male, or non-straight, we are called sexist, racist, misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, etc., 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 etc. Never mind that we are just complaining about this character. Nothing to do at all with any superficial qualities. Nothing to do with that. So maybe we are fucking tired of it, Eric. Maybe we are fucking tired of it. But you can make it seem like it's one side. And we wouldn't be in this situation if they didn't keep dusting off that fucking playbook. Or maybe I'm looking at the past with rose-tinted glasses. You're looking at it through rose-tinted glasses in a way, because you're not exactly taking into account certain events that have transpired within the last several years. Just saying. All I know is that when I went to school in the 90s, most of my classmates and I didn't really care who was president, didn't really talk about the election, and never argue about the political messaging in Beavis and Butthead or Seinfeld. Now I understand that this cuts both ways. There has been a concerted effort by those peddling identity politics to get that message, or the message as it's come to be known in some circles, into games and shows and movies, often at the expense of quality. Recently I talked about She-Hulk, which is a charming enough Disney Plus MCU show, other than its heavy-handed approach to its protagonist. The show is so concerned with making Jessica Walters, aka She-Hulk, a strong female protagonist that it mangles the script. Instead of making the character strong on her own merits, it does so by making the men around her creepy and sexist. Pro tip, you should probably not make Hulk look bad when making a spin-off about She-Hulk. Okay, there. I agree with them there. But then here, right here, I said at the time that this is like making your heroes smart by making everyone around them stupid. It doesn't work, and it places the agenda above good storytelling. This is not the case with Rings of Power, at least not in its first 2 episodes. So you can't say it's not the case with Rings of Power, because you've only seen the first 2 episodes. You can't claim, per your title, there is no woke agenda. Now, I've listed off that there has been an agenda tied with this series. There has been plenty of agendas tied with this series. But you can't definitively say there's no woke agenda based on the first 2 episodes. Where I can point out, say, yeah, there kind of is. Not kind of is, definitely is. The show has a diverse cast, but it does not wield that cast to make a political point about diversity. No, they just leave it up to the cast and showrunners to basically call us racist or sexist if we at all complain about the cast. Alright? You have the producers and the showrunners throwing out offhand remarks about how, they won't stand for racist attacks on their cast. You have Morford Clark, aka Gladriel and Name Only, telling us to shut the fuck up, pretty much. Claiming racial abuse, but offering no evidence, offering no proof whatsoever, painting basically the majority of the fandom as racist or sexist. Yeah, don't need the show to do that. The cast and the crew are doing a perfectly fucking job themselves. Instead, Rings takes a colorblind approach to race, focusing on the racial tensions between elves and men, or elves and dwarves instead. See, the thing there is that elves, men, and dwarves, those are legitimate races. Alright? It had nothing to do with skin color or anything like that. Elves were a race, men, race, dwarves, race. Alright? And there's been tensions amongst those 3 for thousands of years. Thousands of years. You didn't need to alter anyone's skin color to display that. But they fucking did. They fucking did because it had to reflect, according to the showrunners, it had to reflect modern day. What we face in modern day. You had the producers and showrunners back in, I believe it was earlier this year, I believe it was in February, something like that, giving an article for Vanity Fair claiming that Middle-earth should reflect the world we live in. No, Middle-earth should reflect Middle-earth, and Middle-earth should reflect what Tolkien wrote, how he developed the races, how he developed the characters. So Ring's taking a colorblind approach, alright? And is blatantly agenda. Because they are disregarding everything that Tolkien wrote. But then again, they don't have access to everything Tolkien wrote. They lied for several years. But they are making a political point about diversity in doing this. I understand that Tolkien purists may find this a bit jarring. I don't believe you're de facto racist for wanting a story set in fictional Europe to have more European hue to it, but bigotry can take subtle shapes that people aren't even aware of, and I think this is one such instance. So, doesn't matter what complaint you have, doesn't matter how you're wording it, doesn't matter the critique, you're a bigot. We are bigots. Not overt or anything like that, but subtly. We're just unaware of how much we are bigots, according to this individual. He says, he tries to claim, I don't believe you're a de facto racist, but yeah, technically you kind of are, because this bigotry is subtle. Tolkien wasn't writing about Europe after all, he was writing about Middle-earth. Europe, namely Britain, was the fucking inspiration, you dumbass. He wanted to write a mythology for Britain. So guess what? He technically was writing about Europe in a way, because Europe was the inspiration. If he was using Africa as the inspiration or anything like that, we'd expect to see skin colors that would be representative, genuinely, of that continent. We would be just as much complaining if they race swapped that as we are about this. So don't fucking sit there and say, he wasn't writing about Europe, he was just writing about Middle-earth. When, in fact, Europe, the legends and mythology of certain European areas, namely Norse, he uses inspiration. In Middle-earth, there are orcs and dragons and powerful wizards, all things absent from ancient Britain or Scandinavia. Tolkien was drawing on these histories and this lore, but he was creating a fantasy, not a history. No fucking shit, Sherlock, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he was using said histories and lore as inspiration for this fantasy. And again, he specifically described races certain ways. In a straight history, this level of diversity really doesn't make sense. It's why a black female Viking chieftain in Vikings Valhalla was so jarring. That's a historical show, not a fantasy. But in a realm of dragons and Balrogs, Dark Lords, and magic rings, I find it not such a stretch to include brown-skinned heroes and dwarven women who don't have beards. I certainly don't understand why these small changes would elicit such a massive backlash. They elicit such a massive backlash because of the blatant tokenization. Again, the showrunners claim they go back to the book, go back to Tolkien, when in fact, dwarven women have beards. The dwarves of Khazad-dûm are described a certain way. Alright? If you wanted dark-skinned dwarves, there are plenty of areas in Middle-earth to explore for that, where you would have not been blatant tokenization or anything like that. They could have done that, but they chose locations for the member berries, pretty much. They chose Khazad-dûm, because guess what? We remember Khazad-dûm from Lord of the Rings trilogy, right? Right? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You remember that, right? Never mind the fact that there wouldn't be two Durins. We're complaining about that, but you don't regard that, do you? We're also complaining about the fact that they break lore just having two Durins alive at the same fucking time in the Dwarven Kingdom. Which wouldn't happen. Tolkien was clear about that. Never mind, we're also complaining about the white characters, but no, we're obviously bigots, we're obviously racist, because I don't see this is such a stretch to include brown-skinned heroes and dwarven women. You want to do that? Create another D&D show or movie. I've written previously about how I do think the most important kind of diversity is more diverse storytelling. I want to see more shows like the Korean zombie historical drama Kingdom or the FX comedy Reservation Dogs about a group of teenage Native Americans kids trying to scrape by. I'd love to see an African fantasy RPG or big budget TV show. Okay? So I agree with you in an extent there. Yes, diverse storytelling. Genuine diverse storytelling. But this that you're defending is not genuine diversity. It's not. But that doesn't mean we should only want white people in the Rings of Power. When Tolkien describes characters a certain fucking way, certain races a certain fucking way, yes, we even complain about the short hair on the elves. Dear Christ. Look. When we are saying this, because we're looking at the fact that it's blatantly diversity agenda driven. Again, if they had maybe focused on Easterlings, guess fucking what? Diversity right fucking there, naturally. But they don't choose to do that. There are plenty of kingdoms within Middle-earth Tolkien wrote about, which would have been genuine, authentic diversity from his writings. But they don't do that. They don't fucking do that because they can't bank on doing anything because, again, they don't have the rights to the Silmarillion, so they don't have access to that. So what do? They rely on the member berries. They rely on that shit. And then they act all colorblind by, again, spinning on what Tolkien wrote, what Tolkien had developed, what he created in this. This all goes back to the showrunners saying they wanted to tell the story Tolkien never wrote. Here it fucking is, right here. I don't want the agenda-driven messaging in that show, but if its creators make the creative choice to have a more diverse cast and to leave the politics out of it, I'm okay with that. The fact is, again, the politics are behind the casting choices. There's no denying that. You're trying to, but there's no denying that. I'm also okay with creative choices that have less diversity. The original Viking show was mostly white, and that made sense given the context and history of Norway and the Viking people. I don't think that was racist or pushing a political agenda either. Mostly I want good stories, good writing, and good acting and production design. I want stories I care about and characters I can root for or against. I don't care about the color of their skin, and I think it's high time everyone just took a deep breath and chilled out for once. I think Rings of Power is off to a good start, and that even with such a diverse cast, and he has the gasp. Oh my god, diversity. Oh my god, the buzzword gasp. It's remaining true to the spirit and values of Tolkien's work. It should remain true, not just to the spirit and values, but to the actual fucking work itself. And it's not. You can try to spin this all you want. You can try to claim this has no agenda to it. You're saying woke agenda, but there is agenda to this series. There is a blatant agenda, multiple agendas to this series. You can claim that all you fucking want. You can say right down here that there's subtle bigotry in those complaining about the agenda. You're not a de facto racist for wanting a story set in fictional area to have a more European hue to it, but bigotry can take subtle shapes. So basically, without even knowing it, people, those of you all who are complaining, such as myself, about everything regarding what we've seen for this series, we're bigots. Full on, that's what he's saying, we're bigots. But at any rate, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Again, it's going to be premiering tonight. It's going on 3:30 p.m. my time when I'm recording this video. So, are you going to watch it? Are you not going to watch it? Or are you going to do something else in the meantime to show love for Tolkien? What are your thoughts, and what are you going to do down in the comments below? Let me know all that fun stuff. I will be live on Twitch tonight. Not really for a long stream because I'm going to be taking time tomorrow morning to watch Rings of Power. I'm not going to say how again, but I'm going to find a way to watch it and give my honest opinion and review for the first 2 episodes, as well as planning a live stream spoiler breakdown for this Saturday about 4 p.m. Eastern, so look for that. I'll also be live on Twitch tomorrow evening. I might be able to start a bit earlier because the schedule is a little bit freer tomorrow evening, so look for that. I don't know what I'll be streaming on Twitch, but I'll figure something out tomorrow. So in the meantime, what are your thoughts again? Like I said, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. The Cringe Factory stream that I did last night with Ms. Martin Muses will be downloaded and re-uploaded onto my new live channel, Jade Shadow Live. So click on that if you missed anything and you want to catch up and or rewatch it. It'll be live over there. And other live streams in the future, plus my solo stream that I'll be doing tomorrow early afternoon, give or take. So look for that as well. Hope you enjoyed this video, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Mara Jade. Catch you on the dark side, and keep the spin coming. You just make my job that much fucking easier.